when I look at our 9 pro sports teams and I try to come up with the best moments of the year, for the Mets, I thought it was easy, and that was Steve Cohen taking over as Met owner.
Right.
Off the field, probably one of, if not the biggest off-the-field things the Mets have ever done.
It's a game
Fair?
changer. It
Okay,
changes
so you agree with
the
that.
entire complex of the franchise moving forward now.
Agreed. So we're in agreement with that. For the Knicks, I went with the hiring of Tom Thibodeau. I don't know what else you would do.
Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been much. They haven't even
Nothing.
been a factor this year outside of that.
Okay. For the Nets, I couldn't come up with anything other than Durant's first official game. Like, he's finally here.
Right.
That's fair. The Giants...
These are not great, even hearing you roll them out there.
Well,
yeah.
like, what else would you do?
Yeah. It's been a down year, even, obviously, with sports.
Right. You can't do anything from back in January or February, I don't think,
Right.
because it wasn't really relevant, because when they came back, they played in the bubble, and that's really what I think we remember. For the Giants, I went with the win at Seattle.
Easy one.
Kind of felt like the Giants might be back on the way up.
It's an easy one. I mean, that's a huge...
You could say the hiring of Joe Judge, but I don't think anybody knew who we...
No, the win at Seattle, fans were pumped up, thinking they're going to win the division.
No, I guess it was this year.
Fans are going to... Yeah, when was it?
Yeah, no, it was this year, after the season last year, right.
Fans are pumped up, thinking they're going to win the division. It was, I mean, a stunning upset. I would have been shocked if they won with Daniel Jones, let alone Colt McCoy. So, yeah, I think that's an easy one.
So you're good with that. I took the Rangers with the number 1 pick, Alex Lafreniere.
That was fun, yeah.
I couldn't come up with anything for the Yankees, although Lepresti came up with the 5-home-run inning against the Blue Jays.
I would probably go, I don't know if I have a specific game, but the Cleveland series. I mean, that was a hell of a series there. What was it, 3-game series?
Yeah.
I think that was, now I know they ended up losing to the Rays anyway, but still, that was a playoff baseball coming back, Stanton hitting all these home runs.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a specific moment, but I would say their best moment was the Cleveland series.
Fair enough. Now, the Jets I had nothing for, and a caller called up in the warm-up show, and we'll take your calls too, 877-337-6666, and I did like this. He said it was the Raider win.
Yeah.
That's sad, but it's probably true.
It's too sad for me. And I get it, and I heard you guys talking about it, and I was trying to think, okay, let me be creative here, maybe come up with something funny or something different, and I couldn't. And I just think if you're looking for a best moment for the Jets this year, obviously in a year where they almost go winless, there's not going to be many, and then they want Trevor Lawrence. If in fact they do go winless, they don't get that. It has to be Mekhi Becton. I mean, maybe it could be one of Baldy's breakdowns showing the clips of Mekhi Becton pancaking people, but this guy you hope could be a stud moving forward. And I know that's not something that's going to excite people as far as, wow, a great moment, we drafted a good player. But honestly, that's it. That's the only thing that's happened positive to this team this year.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So you've got Becton or losing to the Raiders, which didn't even hold up because they wound up winning the following week.
Right, which became obviously pointless anyway, and maybe even more so embarrassing. I mean, you could throw in the firing of Greg Williams. See, I was never on the side of rooting for them to lose. I get why fans wanted that to happen. I just don't have that in me to root for the team that to root for the team that I grew up rooting for to go winless in a year. I don't care who the player is.
I thought Joe made a great point about that. He's like, the Jets have not had a great history. The one thing he does not want to see on their ledger is 0-16.
See? There you go.
I know what he's saying. I agree.
And that's from the biggest Jet fan that we know. So I'm in line with him. I just never, how could you, even if you want to, and there have been moments in the course of my fandom, I'm like, I'm so fed up with this team. I can't stand them. I hope they lose. I want this coach gone. When the game is being played inside me, I want them to win. I'm not worried about the draft spot next year. Worry about that when it happens. I get that people think that Lawrence is going to change everything, but the idea you're rooting for your team to lose and then lose like that, what happened with the Raiders, and the Jets have been playing better, obviously, beating the Rams, beating the Browns. You could have had another win on top of that. I just, as a fan, I don't get the point of rooting for.
And you might get another win this weekend against the Patriots, who look shot.
Right.
So
they could end up with 3. They should have had 4. Not that fans are going to say, "Oh, big deal. What's the difference with 4 and 0? It only screwed us out of Trevor Lawrence." Going through the season as a fan, why waste time? Then what's going to stop you from the year after saying, well, we're not going to win the Super Bowl anyway?
Why not lose
get
them
another?
all?
Yeah, right.
I know.
That's a stupid philosophy.
I know. It's interesting. I'll finish in a second. We were talking yesterday about you were discussing how coordinators, they're not always the right fit, and where do you go for another head coach, maybe not a college coach, because then you want someone that's got a track record. You realize we talk about coaches. How many vacancies do you think on an average year there are? On
2
average.
or 3?
Oh, I was going to say more like 5 or 6.
On average per
Yeah,
year,
I would
say 3. Do you know or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so let's say
this year's obviously
let's
a lot.
say there's 4 on average.
Okay, fine.
I do think it's more than that, but let's say there's 4 openings every year. Only one team wins the Super Bowl every year, and the Patriots have won it 6 times.
Right.
You know how many failures there are if the only way you are calling the coaching success being a Super Bowl winner? That means Andy Reid until last year was a failure as a head coach.
It's an excellent point. You could also...
Why would you have hired him in Kansas City? He never won the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then Doug Peterson wins the Super Bowl. Who do you want to coach your team, Doug Peterson or Andy Reid?
Right, that's why that's stupid logic. Oh, well, he won a Super Bowl. I don't care that. As crazy as that, I don't care that Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. Big deal. And that's what the Jet fans were saying. Well, he's a Super Bowl winning. There are circumstances to why certain coaches win a Super Bowl. So I look at what Andy Reid did with Philadelphia. That, to me, was a lot more meaningful than Mike McCarthy's Super Bowl win. Obviously, Andy Reid wasn't available, but you just want to compare the two. You could also take it a step further and say the same thing for quarterbacks. Nobody is happy. And it seems like, if Sam Darnold is not Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers,
failure.
He's a bust. Daniel Jones, he's not those same guys, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Mahomes, bust. What? Those are rare breeds. And not only that, we're judging them on 1 or 2 seasons or even less in certain spots. So what do you want from Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones? If they're not those guys, they're failures. Look around the league and tell me who is outside of those guys. Those guys, the majority of the teams don't have elite quarterbacks. Not to mention that those quarterbacks a lot of times have success because they're put in the right system. I mean, none of those guys that I just mentioned, Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, none of those guys were top picks. Not number 1 overall.
Not even close.
Which plays to your point about Lyon. I'm in dead agreements with it. Lawrence you don't, for the Jets' perspective, forget about what he does in Jacksonville. It's not like he was going to save the franchise. The fans were getting caught up in this idea of hope and what's being sold to them about what he is. And they think that that's going to change everything. When in reality, if you just draft well, build a team, you can A, win with Sam Darnold, or B, bring somebody in, put him in your already made system, and have some success.
Look at you.
What? We're in agreement. Yeah, I know.
Lockstep.
But we're in the minority here.
We are in the minority. And, I felt like my point got lost last week. I was never saying that you didn't want Trevor Lawrence and you were going to pass on that. Absolutely not. But once that moment passes, let's not cry over spilled milk. There is still a lot of really good ways and things they can do to become a great team. Cap space, draft right. You got 1 million draft picks. Get it right. And then you can still become a very good football team.
The big point, though, is how we judge these coaches and quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I agree. You're absolutely right.
If he hasn't won a Super Bowl, he's useless. And if he doesn't play like Aaron Rodgers, he's a useless quarterback. Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, Dan Marino will be the best example of all time. I don't think, as long as we're living, we'll always think of Dan Marino. Was his career bad?
Right. So was John Elway crap if he didn't get the Super Bowls at the end of his career? I mean, is that what we're going to say?
Until he won his 2.
Well, as I'm saying, if he didn't get them, which was toward the end of his career,
you're right.
obviously.
And they didn't get him because of him at the end of his career.
Right. They could run the football well. They had a good defense. I mean,
funny how that works out, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. If you take it deep, like we talked about yesterday, take a little bit of a deeper dive.
A deep dive.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.